Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
A historic primary election today in Michigan with a record number of absentee ballots cast.
State holding an election in the middle of a pandemic, but tonight Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is calling the election a success. Here, though, is why we're waiting on results in most of the key races. The state says more than 2 million absentee ballots were requested and more than 1.6 million of them were returned. That breaks the record by 300,000, and that was set in the 2016 presidential election, not a primary, in the presidential election. So now to where we stand in some of the key races at this hour. Nearly half of the vote is in Oakland County. Dave Coulter leading Andy Meisner in the race for county executive in the Democratic primary. The winner of that race very likely to take on Republican Mike Cole.
And one of the most heated races leading up to today, the Republican primary in the 10th Congressional District that will most likely decide who will succeed Paul Mitchell. And right now it looks like Lisa McClain with an early lead over Shane Hernandez.
And perhaps the most closely watched contest of the night, certainly being watched nationally. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib with an early lead against Detroit City Council President Brenda Jones. I mentioned a lot of the vote still being counted. And in fact, since we don't know how much of the vote is being taken up by the absentee ballots, it's really difficult to tell you what percentage of the vote has been counted thus far in so many of these races. Makes it for a very complicated night for election watchers, among them Jason Colthorpe, who's live tonight, and this could be a while before we get the results. Jason.
A long while, Devin, and I can tell you of the poll workers and precinct workers I've talked to today, they're talking at least 50% and sometimes 25% turnout from what they would normally have for a primary. And if you take a look behind me, a lot of the transfer cases still arriving of Detroit's 502 precincts here at the Detroit Pistons practice facility. You might recognize that face across the street, the Pistons great Earl Curitan welcoming some of those poll workers as they arrive here with those cases. They take them inside here, and the workers here make sure that they are documented, they are sealed properly, and since 8 o'clock we've had a steady stream of those workers coming in. And of course, it's all extremely important because of that race for the congressional 13th district between Rashida Tlaib and Brenda Jones. With at least 1.6 million ballots cast by mail, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson feels good about the first run of a mostly absentee election.
It's been, in my view, both a great preview to underscore how ready we are for November, and also it's given us an opportunity to identify where challenges exist, how we can fill those, and again, prepare for November.
Transfer cases carrying Detroit ballots from the precincts tonight were coming into the receiving board at the Detroit Pistons practice facility. City Clerk Janice Winfrey said they overcame a shaky start to the day.
Some of the poll workers didn't show up, and I'm sure it's because they maybe had second thoughts and decided maybe it's safer if I stay home. But the poll workers that did show up, they just took the challenge on.
Speaking of challenges, this primary is the third time Rashida Tlaib and Brenda Jones have faced off in an election.
I think we're likely to go late. I'll be kind of surprised if we have a result tonight.
Despite Tlaib's big lead in some polls and in fundraising, political analyst Adrian Hemond thinks there's a case to be made for both candidates to win the 13th district.
Has Congresswoman Tlaib fixed the problems in her absentee voter operation for her campaign? In 2018, she lost absentee voters in both of those elections, the special and the regular. And she won election day voters going away. I don't think that formula works this year.
Certainly not with so many people voting by mail-in or absentee. And again, I want to stress, I've talked to a lot of poll workers, precinct workers, just to ask their opinion how things went, and almost everyone said things went very smoothly. It was just the turnout was a lot less than they'd seen, which goes to stand to reason with so many people going mail-in. Of course, the next benchmark with all of this will be how soon can they get votes counted and have results. Well, amongst the people out here, at least the media, they think the before and after mark may be somewhere around 5 p.m. tomorrow. A lot of us still taking the after, if you will, but we'll have to wait and see. For now, live Detroit, Jason Coulter, Local 4.
We're setting over-unders here. And Jason, when you look ahead to November, when we, of course, are going to be dealing with a higher turnout, that really shows us what's in front of us.
It does, and you get a good sense of, people say everyone has a good attitude, not just the poll workers, but people at the polls who decided to go out in person today had a good sense of patience, were willing to be nice to each other, which as for the last 5 months, we've seen how tempers can flare, but they think people are being nice and they're just trying to get through this process, and they think it all bodes well for November when all of this will be ramped up even more.
Yeah, sure will. All right, Jason. Now, well, so while we await results in some of these big races, we do have some contests that have been called. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell has easily defeated her Democratic challenger, as has Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence. And in the race to decide who will likely succeed, Justin Amash, who of course became an independent and then decided not to run again for Congress, Republican Peter Meijer on track for a big victory in West Michigan's 3rd congressional primary. Meijer, the grandson of Fred Meijer, heir to the grocery chain fortune, but he will have a Democratic challenger come November. Stay with Local 4 and clickondetroit.com. We will continue to update these results in all the primary races just as soon as those results are, of course, available to us. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson will join us live to talk about any overnight developments, plus what her team has learned from the primary as we look ahead to that general election in November.
All right, some breaking news just in. A Detroit Public Schools police officer has been rushed to the hospital after being hit by a car doing donuts.
This happened in a parking lot. In fact, the parking lot at Cass Tech High School. Tim Pamplin there with the night cam.
Right off the bat here, I'm being told the police officer is going to be okay. Non-life-threatening injuries to him. This is what happened. That green Dodge Charger you see right there, facing the wrong way on the service drive, it was inside Cass Tech High School's parking lot doing donuts. 2 occupants of that vehicle, 2 young men. The driver now is in custody. The passenger is being questioned. During the traffic stop in the parking lot, one officer got out of the police cruiser, and then the Charger drove right at him, pitting him against his own police cruiser. The chase was then on. It went around Cass Tech, ended up here on the southbound service drive at Grand River. Again, one police officer going to the hospital. Driver of a Dodge Charger in handcuffs. That's the scene. Downtown with the nightcap, Tim Pamplin, Local 4.
Okay, Tim. Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be updating the state's response to the pandemic tomorrow morning at 10:30.
Governor's briefing comes as the state reported 664 new cases of COVID-19 over the past 24 hours and 7 more deaths to report. Governor today issuing a new executive order directing state police to enforce COVID-19 safety rules like the mask mandate and building capacity limits. Other headlines: tomorrow, Motor City and Greektown casinos will reopen. MGM Detroit is going to reopen to the public on Friday. Earlier today, I asked Governor Whitmer about why casinos are being allowed to reopen while bars are being shut down.
So what we've seen on our Indian reservations is that those that have casinos have been operating casinos for quite a while, and they've done so without major outbreaks because there are some protocols that have been developed and embraced. Working with the 3 Detroit casinos, they not only adopt those same protocols, but took them even a step further, and so they are re-engaged at 15%. We are, I believe that this is a way that we can mitigate risk. We've got the Gaming Control Board that is right on premises to make sure that these protocols are being followed, and we think that this can be something to re-engage safely.
Again, the governor has a 10:30 a.m. briefing scheduled for tomorrow. You can watch it live here on Local 4, and we'll also stream it live at clickondetroit.com.
The death toll in Beirut surpassing 70 dead tonight, with thousands more injured in a massive explosion that sent a mushroom cloud into the sky. The blast in the Lebanese capital has left at least 3,000 people injured. It was so powerful, it struck with the force of a 3.5 magnitude earthquake, with the detonation heard 200 miles away and at least 2 other countries. Local authorities believe a large amount of ammonium nitrate improperly stored in a warehouse at the port is to blame. And that explosion being felt here in Metro Detroit as well. Victor Williams joins us live tonight with one local family with strong ties to Lebanon. And Victor, understandably, this has been a very hard day for that family.
Yes, extremely hard day indeed, but it's crazy to think that the shock waves can still be felt all the way over here in the States, let alone Michigan. But there is one woman in Troy who says she's been deeply affected by all of this on an emotional level.
It's just terrible, terrible.
Beirut native Noor Dano couldn't help but watch as part of her home literally crumbled to the ground.
They're calling it Hiroshima of the Middle East. Glass everywhere, cars damaged, a lot of people died. We're talking here about 3,000 people injured and at least 80 people died. And that's a lot of people still they're looking for. They're buried under the rubble.
Although Dano was fine here in the States, she was worried about all of her family members back home not being able to contact them because of cellular and internet service being knocked out by the explosion.
I was crying, I was shocked, I was afraid. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was, shivering.
After what felt like an eternity of uncertainty, eventually she was able to connect with her loved ones, only to find out that people in her circle did not make it.
So it took me a while to get hold of my family, but thank God they're okay. But we know a lot of people who got injured, and we know some people who died.
But still, Dano is keeping the country of Lebanon in her prayers, hoping they can recover after all of the chaos.
This is just so sad. I just wish peace for everybody to stay safe.
Now, Dano says, considering the state of the economy over there, this is going to be another devastating blow. Reporting live tonight, Victor Williams, Local 4.
Sure is, Victor. New details tonight about the Pontiac man accused of murdering a professional poker player in Waterford.
60-year-old Jeffrey Morris was formally charged today. Local 4 sources tell us he met with Susie Zhao at a hotel the night before her body was found badly burned. We learned in court that Morris has a long history of violent crimes. Investigators say Zhao's cell phone records put Morris on their radar. Still ahead, Kelly Stafford reacts to her husband's false positive COVID-19 test.
Why the wife of the Lions quarterback is not happy with the NFL, and also sharing what the past 3 days have been like for her family. It's been a nightmare. Ben.
Devin, a lot of us have gotten plenty of rain here over the last few days. We will see none of that going forward. Another dry stretch, but where do temperatures go from here? We'll answer that next.
All right, Ben, but first, a police officer in Macomb County puts his safety on the line to protect others from a wrong-way driver. The video showing how his quick thinking paid off. Next.